So for most of yesterday, Saturday, and so far this morning, Sunday morning here, the Freedom from Nicotine site has been down. And it was a system-wide problem with the hosting company, and it wasn't just our site, it was all the sites that are hosted on this board. But I thought I would use this opportunity to tell a message that I always had in a string that we had at the Freedom from Nicotine board called Crutches to Quit Smoking. And I have a video that touches on this issue too. It's also called Crutches to Quit Smoking, and I'll attach that into the video description. It's how you gotta be careful using anything as a crutch. And I talk about this in the sense of using a food or drinking as a crutch, or even positive crutches, taking up exercise as a crutch and doing things that people would think would be good for them. Going for water as a crutch. There's issues involved with that. And the biggest one, I think, that many people would take as a surprise from a person who helps put together stop smoking sites to help people quit smoking is, don't use your stop smoking site as a crutch. Because as we're seeing right now, anyone who is thinking like, the way they're able to stay off is if they're having a bad moment or a hard time, or something is going wrong, that the way they can deal with it is, they could just go to their crutch. They'll go to their internet site. That always helps them. Well, here's a great example. The site is down. There's nothing we can do about it. And in the article where I originally addressed this, even if the site's not down, it's a technology-based support system. If your technology goes down, if your computer breaks, if your internet provider is out of service for a while, these things happen. If your quit is contingent on you being able to get to this material, well, your quit's in trouble. Well, the bottom line is, your quit is not contingent on you getting to these materials. The way I want people to use our materials and to understand the use of our materials is it's educational information. It's information that once you have it, once you absorb it, it's there for you. If you get into tough times, you can recall lessons that you have learned. And that's what you need to be using this material as. It's reinforcing your own resolve. Your resolve is with you. It needs to be with you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's not that you're thinking about cigarettes in those times or that amount of time. I mean, when it comes down to it, you're probably thinking about cigarettes seconds a day. So some of you longer-term quitters, you're thinking about cigarettes seconds a week. Some of you haven't thought about cigarettes for months at this point in time if you've quit years ago. But you want to keep a certain degree of just respect for the level of control that cigarette had on you before, that nicotine had on you before. So when you encounter tougher times, not tougher times in not smoking, just tougher times in life, and you start to think back to those times where, in conditions like this, that's when I would take a cigarette, you have your own internal ammunition and understanding of why you don't take that cigarette now. It's not because you don't want it at the moment, because maybe you do. It's because you don't need it now. It's because you don't want it under the condition that it's going to turn you into a full-fledged smoker again. That's why you quit to start with. It's remembering why you quit. Remembering why you don't want to go back, and then when you get into times like this, reinforcing that resolve. One of the best ways of helping this along is every now and then checking in at a board such as the Freedom from Nicotine board, or if you go to another site, checking in, and not in a sense checking into having to write, but going and reading people who are first quitting smoking and listening to the travails that they're having and realizing, oh my gosh, I'm so far beyond that. Recognizing how far you've come, and more importantly, recognizing how far back you never want to go. So if the next day or a few days later you encounter a tough moment for some reason or another, you remember that recent experience, like, hey, here was that person who had quit for a while, went back to smoking, look what they're going through now, and you don't want to do that again. So use these resources as a sense of reinforcing your resolve. at varying times. When you have a little moment here and there, use it to reinforce your resolve, but don't feel contingent that it has to be there or your quit's not safe. Your quit is safe. Your quit is secure. No matter what happens technologically, no matter what happens in the world around you, your quit will stay successful and you will be able to stay smoke-free for the rest of your life as long as you continue to stick to a personal commitment to never take another puff.